Hey, crypto family. I'm Nemesis with the Crypto Brothers. And today I was going to try to do a little technicals analysis and a little mining update since it's Friday. Every Friday I do mining updates. So with that, let's dive into this. I found this one. Little disclaimer. Everybody kind of does the disclaimers whenever they're showing analysis and stuff like that, and I totally get it. And this one is about as blunt as it can be. I mean, you can't get any more blunt than this. So with that, jump into it. Today, looks like Bitcoin seems to be dropping in price. I kind of saw this one happening already. Bitcoin's been trading in a little bit of a wedging pattern, so it's just been kind of trading sideways, but this wedging pattern is just tightening down a little bit more. So everything seems to be dropped today, but today being Fridays, Fridays are usually for me good times. For me, I usually like to do it earlier in the morning, but it looks like even right now, even for me, if I got up late or I had to go to work really early, even now for me, I dollar cost average in, not a whole lot, maybe anywhere from like $20 to $100, at least once a month. If I can do it every week, cool. But I'll do little bits that. For me, I can, if it drops down to nothing, the little bits of money that I put in really don't mean much. But with that, Bitcoin's at $6,530. It has dropped, so yeah, this isn't like the more ideal thing. But I try not to look at this every day. I try to look at this more or less whenever I'm looking at wanting to dollar cost average. So when I'm dollar cost averaging and I see this, it's like having a coupon, and I like shopping with a coupon. So as long as it's a project that I enjoy, more like the Busy Bitcoin, you cannot go. I mean, for me, I can't go wrong with putting dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin, trying to get my one coin, one whole Bitcoin. I certainly have a long way. I don't even have a half a Bitcoin, but it's like I drop a little bit into it, and once I have full Bitcoin, woo, that'll be awesome. Tom Lee had big ideas for that Ethereum as it's dropping back down. He's saying almost a $2,000 Ethereum. That would be amazing to see. I know a bunch of people that would love to see it hit at least $1,000 again. This way, the bags that they're holding, they can actually get rid of them and either break even or make a couple of bucks. Litecoin kind of holding sideways a little bit. It's not pumped up huge, but it's not dropping bad either. It seems like the whole market's just kind of trading sideways. It looks like everything is waiting for what Bitcoin's going to do or something. I don't understand the whole behind the scenes on market analysis of people's sentiment. People tend to trade off of sentiments and stuff like that. Buy the hype, sell the news type of thing. I'm trying to learn that aspect myself. With that, and like I was saying, this is the wedging pattern that I was sitting there talking about, how it's been kind of bouncing in between these two zones where I've got the green lines, and it just in a little, I'd say the last month or so, it's been kind of holding. It's like I kind of had a feeling that it would kind of hold into this range right here. And I drew a lot of this stuff a couple of months ago, not the wedging pattern at least, but my little zones. And this red line here, I had a feeling was going to be one of the resistance lines. If we fell below the 7,200 line, then I knew it was going to be a resistance line coming back up. And as you see over here, we tested that 7,200 line. We couldn't hold, and it just dumped. and it dumped back into where I believe is the support zone. This zone, I think, is the zone where that Bitcoin will not drop below. I think this is like kind of like the Goldilocks zone for Bitcoin, my opinion at least. And you can almost see that with even in the MACD, where the MACD is trending positive, but it's trading sideways. Even in the MACD, you can kind of even see it in. Oh, let me get rid of this. I do not have a paid membership on this. I'm using free, so they have ads in it. Whatever. But like I was saying, even with the RSI on here, the RSI the last few days has kind of been just kind of oscillating sideways, hasn't been making big swings up or down, so it's not going into majorly overbought or majorly oversold territory like it did over here, and when the way overbought territory over here. If it drops up this high real quick, where it goes straight up like this, where you start to see it kind of crescendo up over here, you can, if you were going to short it, this is where you would short, is right up in here if you had bought down here on the RSI level. And you could have shorted over here or up over here. But that's if you do the short game. I don't know how to do that very well. Whenever I'm trading, I'm looking for times for me to buy in, where the market is dipping, not where the market is inflating to. So for me, I kind of started seeing this wedging pattern, like I was saying, and right now it's just kind of tightening up into it. I don't know how far to the bottom of this channel that it's going to reach. I'm hoping that it's just going to kind of play out sideways a little bit, hit here and break up. But some people are talking about it trending more down. It's a possibility. I'm not going to leave a $5,000 Bitcoin out of the equation. Although I'd like to be positive and see it trend the other way. And it's like I got this all up on the day reference on here. If you wanted to go more technical, you can go into the 4 hour or the half hour. In the 4 hour, you can see how the dump really is. There's a major buy off. Somebody's shorting the heck out of it. I wouldn't buy in quite yet. I'd wait for a couple of more candles to see if this trend is continuing down or if it's going to hold or rebound the other way. I don't go into the 30-minute that often. The 30-minute is just not enough time frame. It's showing such a small increment in what it's doing in a small. I mean, if you're looking for absolute bottom and you think you've seen the absolute bottom, you can go into the 30-minute and see how much it's swinging in a smaller time frame. If you think you're trading on that small of a margin. But for me, I don't go more below the 4 hour, and most of the time I just leave it on the 1 day. The day candles kind of tell you what full market trend is really looking like. It's actually easier to follow it for me to see. It's like I don't need to see how it's oscillating in this full day. I just need to know that this day, for the full day, that it's actually dumping down. And as we're looking at it, Bitcoin is just dropped below 6,500. So it's at $6,495. So hopefully it'll push back up. I mean, come on, bears, push it up. I mean, not bears. Ugh. Bulls, push it up, bulls. Bears are winning right now. They're driving everything down. This would be, a point where, it's like some of the traders, they're sitting there saying, wait for a couple of candle confirmations, make sure it's coming down. For me, if I'm dollar cost averaging, this would be a perfect time for me to buy in. I mean, if I would have done it earlier this morning, I would have bought it early, a little bit higher. It would have been almost 6,600. But more towards the end of the day, look at this. It's even cheaper, and I haven't even put any money into it today. I haven't done my DCA today. I've got to sit there and look and see if I can actually afford that, because above all, I tell everybody, make sure you can pay your bills before you play with this stuff. That's the only thing that I try to keep as a word of advice to myself. I do not trade anything that I need to spend right now. And let's jump into. I'm done with the technicals now. I'm not, like I said, I'm not really like huge on the technicals, but here, let's dive into what I am big on, which is my mining. I got into crypto because people were like, you can make a lot of money with this, and this was back in December when Bitcoin hit its all-time highs. So it got me interested in looking into it. Since I've been looking into it, the market's just going. But as going through my research, doing my dollar cost averaging, which I'm doing pretty good with my dollar cost averaging, even with the market coming down. The dollar cost averaging is not too bad, but whenever I started looking into the technicals on each of the companies, I started understanding some of the tech behind it, and I was like, and after I started getting into the tech, I wanted to support the networks, and then I started checking out mining, and the mining at the very beginning, highly profitable. Now, profitability is definitely dropped with the market coming down. So towards the beginning of the year, whenever I started mining, yeah, I was a little bit more profitable. My graphics cards were making more. So yeah, let's break it down. So last Friday, as you see over here, I've got my column here where it was last Friday. Now my totals on here were that after the electrical, because the electrical doesn't change no matter what the profitability is. The electricity cost does not change. So just because the algorithm, the market drops down and you're making exactly the same amount as the electricity, well, you got a choice at that point of, do you leave your rigs on and break even with everything, or do you turn your rigs off and start dollar cost averaging in instead of spending on electricity? Or are you in an area where your electricity is out of control and you can't figure out what to mine, where you're not in the red, where you're spending more money than it takes to run? And this is the cost of running one graphics card each. This is the cost for one graphics card, and then this is the cost for one ASIC miner. So no matter what, this is my bottom dollar every day, no matter what. So last Friday, each of the cards made 31 and 35 cents after electricity. The ASIC miner made $1.82 after electricity. And if you break down the ASIC miner is like having 7 GPUs. So they're not any more profitable than having one GTX 1070 or 1070 Ti. It's just that the price point on buying one of the amp miners versus a GPU rig, and then they do use, they're more power efficient for what they're generating. So it has its trade-offs. Being a miner, I'm not gonna say no to ASICs and swear them off and swear my loyalty and allegiance to GPUs. I'm gonna support both sides of the coin. That's what miners do. We support the network, and we do it at the most effective way. And to me, I think eventually it's all going to be versions of ASIC miners. So GPUs mining is going to be more for the speculative coins or the newer companies coming out, and the GPUs and CPUs are going to support those algorithms, where the ASICs are going to be basically taking care of the bigger algorithms, the granddaddy coins, like Bitcoin, you know, any coin that does not fork to proof of stake. If they stay to proof of work concepts in any way, shape, or form, then they're going to have a version of an ASIC on their algorithm at some point in time, at least to my belief. But like I was saying, last week, this is what I had generated, $2.48. Today, these are my before electricity costs right here. So before electricity, you're like, woohoo, 50 cents. And you can see the difference between the 1070 and the 1070 Ti. Oop, I actually put these in the wrong spot. Dirk. Let me change that real quick. I actually flipped them around. This one should have been 53, and this one was 54. Alright, perfect. Alright, didn't change much, but the 1070 made 53 cents before electricity. The 1070 Ti made 54 cents before electricity. So if anybody's sitting there going, I need a Ti to mine with, a 1070 is a 1070. If you get it on a good price, just go with it. It does not make a difference to have the Ti versus no Ti. They're basically the same card. There is, for whatever, it's like a nominal difference. So if you're mining 365 days a year, you're gonna make an extra penny a day. So do the math on that. You're for the price point, you gotta have your ROI. So whatever the cost of the graphics card, you gotta try to get your investment back as quickly as possible. And if you're paying $400 on the Ti, and you can get the 1070 at $350, the price point becomes really mute. My ROI time on a 1070 will be less time because I'm spending $50 less. The 1070s are going for a little bit less than the TIs. So you can get the 1070s at a better price point. You're going to ROI faster, but it's still going to take you like 2 years to ROI on this stuff, depending on what algorithm you're trying to. Some of these I spent, I got towards the beginning of the year. I paid almost $500 on it. I haven't even, on a couple of the cards, it's going to take me a couple of years to ROI basically at 53 cents a day. You do 0.53. Actually, you know what? Cleared it again. We'll do 500 divided by 0.53. It's gonna take you 943 days to ROI at that kind of price point. I mean, that's just insane. Would I recommend to jump into mining right now? Probably not. Let the new 20 series from NVIDIA and then AMD's they're talking about coming out with a new Vega line or something like that to combat the 20 series. So they're having the graphics cards war. Let them come out with new graphics cards. Let those graphics cards saturate the market. let everybody sell off these 1070s. I had looked into the 1080s myself, and for the price point, again, I look at the price point, and then I look at the coins that I'm going to mine with it, what their profitability is, and then how long is it going to take for me to ROI. And the 1070s and the 1080s, even with the ETH enlargement pill, they're really close to each other. They're the power usage are really close to each other. The 1070s use less power by far. They are at least a couple of $100 less, so it takes less time to ROI on that on the 1070s than it does the 1080s. I would like to see in the future the 1080s come down a little bit more, and then I'll reevaluate it, but that's not where it currently sits. But with that, here, yeah, my E3 Antminer from Bitmain. This one, like I was saying, today pulled in between all the ones that I have. I've got a couple of them. They averaged out to about $3.45. They utilize 765 watts. The power to utilize is $1.84. So today was $1.61 in after electricity. So today I'm actually down a little bit from over last Friday. That all kind of oscillates day to day. A lot of my calculators calculate the last 6 hours. So I'm pulling an average from the last 6 hours. So I take all the 1070s and all the 1070 Ti's, and I averaged them out for one card on a 6 hour period. So it could be up for the whole entire week, but from Friday to Friday is where I'm kind of comparing it to see if it's gonna go down or if it's just kind of oscillating. And what I've been seeing is that with the on the Ethash algorithm, it just kind of been fluctuating. I'm not really earning more, nor am I really earning truly less on how many coins I'm mining, but the pricing of it does oscillate. So with that being said, that's the reason why the price is down, because, well, the market dipped today, as I was talking about earlier. So with the market dipping down, this would be to be expected. If the market was at the same level, I might be at the same or a little bit higher. It's hard to say. And then this down here was the cooling, my mining cooling room. So if anybody is ever wondering how this breaks down, this is how I'm actually cooling my mining room with no AC. And the temperature has been dropping into the 60s, 40s and 60s. So my rigs are running so cool. It is awesome. I mean, you're talking some of the stuff's in the 30C range. Amazing. I'm going to be able to actually turn fans off soon and just run them in the room. Maybe even start thinking about warming up my house and not having to use any heat. I'm going to try to heat my whole house this year with mining equipment. Interesting experiment. I'm going to see if I can do it. But this is the mining room size for me. This is how I calculate it: height times width, length. And that gives you your square footage of the room. I've got about I'm estimating what my one window is allowing in, and my window inlet is allowing about 4,000 CFM in. I've got two fans, one in each window. The room that I got it in has 3 windows. I've got 2 fans in each window exhausting out, and then one window pulling in. So with the one window pulling in, even at 4,000 CFM, over a 1 hour time period, I'm actually exchanging all the air out about 194 times an hour. So even on a hot day, 100-degree day, my rigs will not go anywhere near 75C. So I try to keep my rigs into the no higher than like 65C. I had a couple of 90-degree days, and my ASICs actually got warmer than my GPU. My GPUs got to like 68C, and my ASICs got to what was it, about 71C, but the fan speed was only half way up on its total fan curve. So the ASIC wasn't actually struggling in any way, shape, or form. It was just how warm it was running that day, and it wasn't hashing any less. So I didn't think I have any issues with the cooling in my room with no AC in there, and that was able to actually cut down some costs, because AC, you factor in 1,000-watt AC unit to cool down one room. You're going to be spending an additional $80 to $90, depending on your electricity, to cool down your room, when you can have two fans that don't even pull 400 watts cool down the whole room. So just think about that when you're thinking about cooling. I had a bunch of people that I talked to about air cooling the rooms down, and this seems to be how the bigger people do it. So if you can figure out how to do it in your configuration for where you're mining it, cool. If you can't, then you're going to have to use an AC system, and then you're going to have to factor in the AC system cutting down your daily totals, because you got to factor in everything. If you're running external fans on there, you got to factor in all your external fans into what's taking away from your daily totals. So just think about that for the total, for the long run. And with that pretty much wraps me up with this. If you guys have any comments, questions, or anything like that, certainly drop them down below. While you're down there, smash the like button, hit the subscribe, hit the bell notification, and may your hash rates be high and your watts be low. I'll see you next time.